I loved the Breadloaf School of English program at Middlebury College. It's a unique summer program leading to a master's in English, catering almost entirely to English teachers. So the class conversations are literary, but somehow everything is infused with teaching ideas, since it's almost all teachers in every single room. Through this program, I spent 2 summers studying in Vermont, 2 in Santa Fe, and 1 in Oxford. I'd be delighted to talk about it here in today's episode on master's programs, but I already shared a complete review from my perspective of the Breadloaf School back in episode 223. So I'm going to direct you over to that episode if you're looking for a master's in English right now that you can do in person while you teach. But then there's the other option for an English teacher, and one we haven't talked about yet here on the podcast, a master's in the field of education. There are so many possibilities that it's a bit hard to know where to start. So here I'm going to round up some top candidates that I considered when I recently decided to go back and get a second master's. They all appeal in different ways. In the blog post, I'll let you know the name of the program, the format, the length, the description as given on the program website, and the current deadline to apply that they have listed for the 9 programs that I considered. But here on the podcast version, I'm going to zoom in on my personal top candidates. So you can go either way. If you want to see the longer list, head to the blog. If you want to just hear my thoughts on the ones that I decided to take most seriously, stick with me here. I'll also share links in both places, both in the podcast show notes and the full blog post, to the many, many ongoing conversations on master's programs that are always taking place in Creative High School English. So you can get a lot more perspectives that way, and also to the U.S. News and World Report rankings for top programs in education. These shift from year to year if you want to go and see. I will link what's current right now, and from there, I imagine if you're listening to this later, you can pop to whatever's most current. So here we go. Let's talk master's programs. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast, a podcast for English teachers looking for more creativity, more engagement, more joy, and no more scripted curriculum, lesson planning ruts, or boring book lists. I'm Betsy Potash, and I'm honored you're trusting me to help. You're not alone on this creative journey anymore. So I want to start today by talking about 2 programs that I did not apply to in the end. They were both programs that I thought looked so fascinating, so amazing, like a year-long PD that would just be fantastic, but they were both in person, and I was not in a position to move to Northern California or Boston, and so I didn't apply to these programs. But they're both called the Learning Design Innovation and Technology Program. There's a Learning Design Innovation and Technology Program at Harvard and a Learning Design Innovation and Technology Program at Stanford. And they're both 1 year, they're both in person. And they both just look fascinating to me. So I wanted to mention them here at the outset in case you're looking for an in-person experience. If you are able to move to a new location, if you're able to take a year away from work, these could be incredible programs, and I would really encourage you to check them out. However, that is not my situation. I've got my kids, they're in school. I'm running my own business. My husband has his job. I can't just move at the moment. And so what I was looking for were online programs, and I found a lot. There are a lot of education programs looking to cater to people in that situation, very likely who are already working, who want to do the master's program in conjunction with that work, who want to do it online so that they can tap into it when they have time. So that's nice. I'm glad there are so many programs like that so that teachers doing wonderful work in the classroom can continue to do that work while also learning new things. So after looking at a lot of different programs, the 2 that I decided to pursue seriously were the Online Master of Arts in Education at ASU at Arizona State and the Online Masters in Teaching and Curriculum at Michigan State. And the reason that these 2 were particularly interesting to me. One, the Michigan State program was listed as the top teaching and curriculum program that year when I was looking. It's still, I think, the top program online, while a couple of others have gotten into the top three, but they both require some in person. So Michigan State is doing something great with its online master's in teaching and curriculum, and that really drew me. I wanted a program that was going to be really interesting, really current, have great research, have great professors, like one does. And the thing about the Arizona State program that was interesting to me is that they seem to be working so hard to be an innovative online school, like to just really explore what can be done online and figure out how to really support students that way. They seem to have way more students, way more going on in their online world than any of the other programs I was looking at. And they in some ways I was a little skeptical, like, is this just kind of make as much money as possible by pumping as many students through the program as possible? But that actually is not how it felt. Whenever I would reach out to them with a question, they were over the top helpful, like figuring out how they would design programs for me, walking me through what the tracks that I was interested in would be like, calling me to ask me about my questions, reaching out to me by email, reaching out to me by text. Like, they were so helpful in my process of deciding whether I wanted to do a master's with them and what that master's would look like, that it was actually a little bit annoying. And I think that's great. Like, a good kind of annoying, right? To have that kind of support is really impressive, especially considering that they're working with so many different students. And so in the end, I think that program could be really neat. My husband did a certification there, a certification program within their education school, and he thought it was really great. Again, fully online. We were living in Slovakia at the time. That's what pushed me to consider it in the first place and to look into it. Now, a little bit more about their program. Another thing I liked about it was that they have these different focal areas in their Mary Lou Fulton College for Teaching and Learning Innovation. And so when you do your master's with them, you can decide, you can choose any of these two focus points. For me, I would have been interested in the learning design and technologies track, the literacy education track, the teaching pedagogy track, the global education track, and there are lots more. I put them all in the blog post. I was also interested that you could choose one focus point from their long list within the College for Teaching and Learning, and if you wanted to, you could also choose a focal area from one of their partner colleges. And the partner college focal areas were data and society, digital audience strategies, social justice and human rights, and technical writing and communication. And I found that really intriguing. I would have had a hard time choosing my focus points, but I would have found the digital audience strategies one appealing just because my work here on the podcast and through social media and blogging and website design, I would have been interested to learn what they're talking about with digital audience strategies to apply to my work in this way, but in that meta way that all of my work pushes me toward, to also consider how students will be interacting with digital audiences in the future and how to design curriculum around that. So I thought that the arc of curriculum, from what I could tell in the online Masters of Arts in Education at ASU, was very interesting. I, in the end, did not go with that program, but in the program that I did go with, one of the readings that I did that was just fascinating to me in one class, and a video series that I watched in connection with another class, led me to a professor at ASU who I think would have been fascinating to study with. So that's just another little bit of reason that I think it's a program worth considering. But anyway, the program that I eventually went with was the Michigan State Masters in Teaching and Curriculum, all online, a 2-year program. There are deadlines throughout the year to apply because they have a fall semester, a spring semester, and 2 different summer semesters where the class is kind of shorter and more intense. I have really enjoyed my classes in this program. I think in general, the experience of an online course ends up being what you make of it. I mean, I can't compare like many different online master's programs. I'm just in this online master's program, but I have found that there are so many interesting materials, and then also they're jumping off points where I can go in more directions. The professors have been very open to meeting with me in the various online discussion portals. As always, you get what you give, right? You can get in there and you can really talk a lot. You can ask people questions. You can follow up on their comments. But in the end, it's kind of up to you how involved you get. I've been happy with it so far. I'm midway, and I'm pleased with my choice. So that's what I want to tell you for now. I think that there are so many ways to go when it comes to getting your master's as a teacher, and you just have to think about like, what are you hoping to get out of it? Do you want to be better at designing online tech experiences for your students? Do you want to get better at teaching reading strategies, writing strategies? Do you want to do more with multimodality? Do you want to do arts integration? Do you want more concepts of global education and connecting classrooms around the world? Do you want to be somewhere in person? Do you want to be with a bunch of people who are fascinated by the same things with you? And can you take some time out to do that? Or do you want to be online? There's a lot. When I started the research for this, I was like, wow, there's really not one clear roundup that's going to tell me what to do. And so this podcast and blog post and the links to the conversations in Creative High School English and the roundup, such as it is, the rankings at US News and World Report, is my attempt to give you a little more of a base to build on than I had. And I hope it helps. Thanks so much for joining me today for this conversation about graduate school programs for English teachers. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.